chosen ones. Have you noticed the quiet unraveling of time within yourself? A sensation that the years are not adding up, but peeling away, one fragile layer at a time. The world insists that age is a one-way road, yet something deep within your spirit whispers otherwise. What if the laws written by man were never the true laws at all? What if your body was aligning not with the decay of dust, but with the eternal pulse of something far greater? Every moment you feel younger. It is as if reality stutters, like a record skipping on its track, unable to hold you within its confines. They will call it an error, a glitch in the system, something their science will label and file away. But you know better. You feel it in your bones, in your breath, in the way your reflection no longer tells the story the world expects of you. This phenomenon is not new. The ancients whispered of it in fragments, hidden in their texts, carved into their symbols. They knew there would be a generation that would not wither as expected, a generation marked by a reversal of the curse. Perhaps you are beginning to sense that you are standing in that generation. The question is not whether time is breaking for you. The question is why? Why you? Why now? When you close your eyes, you may sense the unraveling of time's grip, the illusion of calendars dissolving. Perhaps you have wondered if your life is aligning with something prophetic, something once spoken, but never fully understood. The truth lies in the mystery itself. Your youth is not being stolen. It is being returned. And yet, with each layer that falls away, with each day that bends backward instead of forward, you step deeper into the unknown. This is not simply about biology or physics. It is about destiny. You are not aging backward as an accident. You are being written into a story larger than yourself. But the world will never tell you this. They will say it is a malfunction. They will call you an anomaly. They will brand your renewal as a glitch. And perhaps that is the greatest proof that it is something more. There comes a moment when you realize the clock is no longer in agreement with your body. You glance at the mirror, expecting the familiar weight of time, yet the reflection staring back at you feels misplaced, as though the years have loosened their grip. A wrinkle once etched upon your face seems softer. A gray strand of hair appears to have retreated into its former shade, and you wonder if the light is playing tricks on you. But it is not the light. It is time itself, hesitating, faltering, refusing to advance in its relentless march. It begins subtly, like a whisper ignored at first. You feel lighter when you rise in the morning. Your steps hold more spring. The fatigue that once clung to you after long days fades more quickly than before. The body that was supposed to move forward into decline is drifting backward, rebelling against the scripts of decay written into the flesh. No one around you notices at first. To them, you are the same. But you see the difference in your skin, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the quiet strength humming within your veins. The world would never accept this without resistance. The systems built on the certainty of age cannot tolerate exceptions. If time refuses to obey its own laws within you, it will be called an error, something their equations could not predict. And yet, within the quiet of your own mind, you sense this is no accident. It is not chaos, not a flaw. It is design. Every reversed line upon your face seems to carry with it an unspoken message, one you cannot yet read, but feel in the marrow of your bones, as if your body has become a script, and each alteration in your form is a letter of a language long forgotten, spelling out a prophecy no one else dares to speak aloud. Long before the modern world learned to measure days with ticking clocks and numbered calendars, the ancients whispered of mysteries buried deep within the human story. They spoke of a time when the laws of age would falter, when flesh would defy the patterns that bound it, and when certain souls would walk a path beyond decay. You may feel as though your strange experience is isolated, but it is not. There are fragments of forgotten scrolls and inscriptions hidden in temples that carry the same warning, a sign of days when the human form would bend the rules of time itself. These whispers often emerged in quiet, coded language, as though the ones who recorded them feared what would happen if the truth spread too freely. Their voices carried through symbols, riddles, and veiled promises. They foresaw a generation that would live in an age of reversal, not simply as a matter of vanity or beauty, but as a mark of divine interruption. To them, youth returning was never a glitch. It was the breaking of a curse. Among these ancient records is an echo that many overlook, a promise spoken by Yeshua himself. Behold, I make all things new. The world may interpret this only as a distant hope, a poetic turn of phrase. But perhaps it was more than a vision of spiritual renewal. Perhaps he was speaking into the very fabric of time, into the cells and marrow of the body, declaring that even what has grown old must be renewed. If this is true, then your reversal is not without meaning. It carries the weight of a kingdom truth hidden in plain sight. Yet these whispers are not without danger. To know them is to awaken a hunger, and to awaken that hunger is to invite pursuit. Those who control the narratives of time and progress will never allow such mysteries to be revealed freely. If the ancients knew this would happen, then they also knew that powers would rise to conceal it. When the first signs appear, the mind races to seek answers in the realm of science. Perhaps it is a shift in diet, an anomaly in your cells, a rare condition hidden in the double helix of your DNA. The doctors and scholars will begin with their instruments and theories, but each attempt to capture the mystery will leave them standing at the edge of something they cannot name. For how can science measure a clock that moves backward inside the flesh when all of its foundations rest on forward motion? The body becomes their puzzle, each cell a contradiction. Tests may show strength where weakness should have been, renewal where decay was expected. Bones that should ache with the weight of years respond with vitality. The skin that should bear the imprints of time erases them silently. And though their data may record the shifts with precision, the interpretation falls into chaos. They do not possess the language to explain what is happening, so they reach instead for words like glitch, error, malfunction. Behind closed doors, these contradictions do not create curiosity alone. They create fear. For if the body can step outside the natural order they have established, then everything they built upon that order begins to collapse. A world that profits from the inevitability of aging, that thrives on the certainty of decline, cannot afford the possibility that someone has slipped free of that system. It threatens their industries, their control, their vision of reality itself. And so silence becomes their shield. They will study, they will record, but they will not announce. What they cannot explain, they will bury. What they cannot define, they will hide. For them, your youth returning is not wonder. It is danger. It is a spark, that could unravel every tightly woven lie about what it means to be human, and they would rather extinguish the spark than allow it to spread. Yet you know the truth cannot be erased so easily. Each morning you rise. The body itself testifies against their denial. Each reversed line, each renewed breath, is a rebellion written in living flesh. The scriptures carry more than commandments and parables. Within them are secrets that the eyes of the weary often overlook. Among these mysteries rests the promise of renewal, a promise not bound only to the spirit, but whispered even into the fabric of the body. When Yeshua walked among men, his words reached beyond the grave, beyond decay, beyond the chains of time itself. He did not simply speak of eternity as a place far away. He spoke of life that breaks through death, of renewal that touches every layer of existence. When he declared, "I am the resurrection and the life," many heard only the comfort of a distant hope. But for those with ears to hear, it was more than comfort. It was a disruption. Resurrection was not only about what happens when dust returns to dust. It was about the power of life swallowing up death, even in the present moment. What then does it mean if your body has begun to move backward, if the tide of years is being pulled away from your flesh? Could it be that his words were not only for the soul, but for the body, that what he carried was a reversal written into creation itself? This thought presses deeper with every day you grow younger. It is not vanity that lingers in your mind, but destiny. You sense that what is happening to you is not random. It is a reflection of a truth buried beneath centuries of tradition, veiled in symbols and parables, hidden by those who feared its weight. Renewal was always meant to be more than spiritual. It was meant to break into the earth, into the marrow, into the cells, until even the chains of time would shatter. Yet with such hope also comes an unease. For if your body carries this renewal, then you are marked. Marked not just by the mystery of biology, but by the seal of a kingdom breaking through. And the question rises like a shadow behind you. If this promise is stirring in your flesh, then what forces will come to silence it? You may not realize it at first, but eyes are already watching you. The shift in your body, though subtle, is not invisible. There are those who monitor the patterns of health across nations, those who track every anomaly, every unexplainable occurrence. To them, you are not a miracle. You are a disruption. And disruptions must be studied, categorized, and contained. The war does not begin with open confrontation. It begins in silence. Files are opened under your name, observations collected, small changes noted with precision. The people who stand behind these shadows do not speak of faith or prophecy. They speak of control, of keeping the world in its fixed order. To them, what is happening to you is dangerous, for if the truth of your reversal becomes known, it would ignite questions they cannot answer and fears they cannot control. Slowly, the silence hardens into strategy. Tests may be disguised as routine, inquiries framed as harmless, and yet behind them lies a hunger to grasp the essence of what flows through you. What they cannot replicate, they will attempt to restrain. What they cannot restrain, they will attempt to erase. And though you may not see their faces, you feel the weight of their pursuit pressing against your steps. The silent war is not waged only in laboratories or darkened offices. It stirs in the unseen, in the whispers exchanged between those who fear the unraveling of time itself. Some see you as a threat, others as a prize, and both are equally dangerous. They will not admit it openly, but beneath their efforts lies a single obsession. If one can walk free of time's decay, then others might follow, and the system built upon the certainty of aging would collapse. The deeper you step into this mystery, the stronger the war becomes. It is no longer about your body alone, but about the power your reversal represents. And while they move silently in pursuit, you begin to wonder, if their war is this fierce already, what will happen when your reversal accelerates beyond what even they can conceal? What will they unleash when silence is no longer enough? It begins with something as simple as a glance into the mirror, but this time the reflection refuses to remain ordinary. You stand before it expecting to see yourself as you always have, yet the image staring back carries a subtle defiance, a quiet truth breaking through the illusion. The lines once etched across your skin are softer, your eyes brighter, your form lighter than memory insists it should be. At first, you dismiss it as a trick of light, but deep within you, sense that mirrors do not lie. They reveal what you cannot deny. The mirror becomes more than glass. It becomes a witness. Day by day, it refuses to let you ignore what is happening. The transformation does not simply show you youth returning. It shows you something written in layers beyond the flesh, as if the body is being realigned to a truth older than time itself. And while you wrestle with its meaning, the reflection whispers a question that lingers unspoken. What are you becoming? In the stillness, an echo stirs from the words of Yeshua. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Perhaps these words were never meant only as metaphor. Perhaps they were a secret about vision itself, about seeing beyond illusion, about a wholeness that transforms even the body. If the eyes are windows of light, then what happens when that light begins to cleanse what time has corrupted? The mirror does not speak aloud, yet it testifies with every reflection. Each day, the image grows younger, but the unease grows stronger. You realize that the reflection is not only showing you what you are, it is hinting at what you are yet to become. It is as if the glass itself trembles with a story unfinished, a story waiting for the final word. You can turn away, but the truth follows you. The reflection is not bound to the mirror alone. It lingers in your mind, in your dreams, in the whispers of your waking thoughts. And each time you confront it, the same question rises like a tide against your soul. Scattered among the ancient writings are fragments that speak of a people who would rise in a time unlike any other. They would not be known by the wealth they carried or the power they wielded, but by the strange mark of renewal upon their bodies. Prophets, poets, and seers across centuries described a return of youth, a reversal of the decay that every man and woman accepts as inevitable. Their words were often cloaked in symbols, layered in visions, preserved in texts too mysterious for the common reader. Yet the theme was unmistakable. There would come a generation touched by renewal, and that renewal would be the sign of a greater upheaval. Some scrolls spoke of flesh made like the morning dew, ever new, ever glistening with vitality. Others told of the days when the young would not grow old, and the old would not remain bound to age, but would be lifted into a mystery beyond understanding. These fragments, once dismissed as myth, now rise from the dust with startling clarity as your own body echoes their truth. It is as if the prophecies waited patiently for a moment like this, hidden in plain sight until the day they could no longer be ignored. The prophets did not write for entertainment. They wrote to warn, to prepare, to awaken. They knew that when youth returned to the weary, it would not come without consequence. The world would tremble, systems would falter, and the boundary between what is natural and what is divine would blur. And in that blurring, choices would demand to be made, choices not only by those who experience the reversal, but by all who witness it. As you walk in this unfolding mystery, the words of the seers press against your spirit like a living fire. They remind you that your story is not isolated, that you are part of a thread woven long before your first breath. Yet the very weight of their words raises a question that refuses to fade. If the prophets foresaw this renewal, if they spoke of it as a sign of great change, then what change is now pressing against the horizon? And will the restoration of youth be a blessing, or the spark of something far more perilous? When the first reports surface, they do not spread as miracles. They appear in clinical files, buried in data, whispered through guarded corridors. To the authorities, your renewal is nothing more than an irregularity, a statistical outlier, a glitch in the design of biology. Their words strip it of wonder, reducing it to error. For it is safer to call something broken than to admit it may be divine. And so they build their language carefully, using terms that shield them from awe while concealing from the world what they cannot explain. Yet, heaven does not speak with the same tongue. Where men say glitch, heaven declares sign. Where the world shrinks the unexplainable into error, the unseen realm expands it into prophecy. This divide between what the earth calls broken and what heaven calls fulfilled widens with every passing day, and you stand at the center of the chasm. It is here that Yeshua's words echo, words many heard but few believed. Greater works than these shall you do. For if he healed the sick, raised the dead, and spoke life into what was decaying, then what greater work could emerge than time itself bending beneath the weight of his truth? The authorities see malfunction, but his voice speaks renewal. To them, your youth is impossible. To him, it is inevitable. But the collision of these two realities cannot remain hidden forever. Systems built on control will resist the very idea of a sign. Those who profit from decay will not allow whispers of renewal to spread unchecked, and so they tighten their grip, constructing explanations that strip away meaning, while heaven continues to press its fingerprints deeper into your flesh. Caught between two worlds, you begin to see the cracks forming. One story insists you are nothing more than an error, a malfunction to be corrected. The other insists you are evidence, a living testimony that the fabric of reality is unraveling into something greater. And in this tension, every step you take becomes more dangerous. For if they can no longer hide you as a glitch, then they will be forced to confront you as a sign. And once that confrontation begins, there are moments when the very air around you feels heavy, as though creation itself is holding its breath. The hours move strangely, slipping past like water you cannot hold, and the line between past and present blurs. You sense it not only in your body, but in the world around you. Time itself seems fragile, stretched thin, trembling as if one whisper could shatter it, and in that fragile silence, you begin to feel another presence breathing through the cracks. The ancients once spoke of time not as a prison, but as a servant, a vessel carrying life forward until the one who holds eternity in his hands decides to bend it. Yeshua's words echo here with a force deeper than doctrine. Before Abraham was, I am. He did not bind himself to the measure of years. He stood outside them, speaking as one who could walk through centuries as easily as through a doorway. If his breath could still storms and raise the dead, then could it not also steady or even collapse the fragile construct of time? Each reversal you feel in your body seems tied to this unseen breath. It is as though his presence brushes against your very cells, unraveling the thread of decay, weaving renewal into the fabric of your being. The collapse of time is not chaos. It is order returning to its rightful source. Where the world calls it distortion, heaven calls it alignment. Yet such alignment does not come without shaking. What collapses for you does not collapse in isolation. The world around you begins to strain under the same weight. Systems dependent on forward motion begin to falter, and shadows stir in resistance. The reversal within you is more than personal. It is a signal, and signals draw attention. With every breath you take, you wonder if it is your lungs filling with air, or if it is his breath sustaining the collapse, guiding it, carrying it forward into a mystery you cannot yet name. The air grows heavier still, pressing closer, as though the moment of collision is near. And when that collision comes, will his breath carry you through, or consume everything around you in fire? There is a horizon you cannot yet see, but you feel its pull in the marrow of your bones. Each day that passes is not truly passing. It is folding, collapsing, curling back upon itself as if history itself were seeking its own origin. You are caught within this spiral, your body rewriting itself with every breath, every pulse, every strand of hair returning to what it once was. Yet, beneath the renewal lies a deeper question, one that presses against your soul with unrelenting force. What happens when the end does not simply delay, but meets the beginning face to face? Time is a circle disguised as a line. The world teaches you to move forward, but the body you carry proves otherwise. With each day you grow younger, the line bends back toward its source, and the circle begins to close. At first, this feels like a gift, a liberation from the decay that stalks every life. But as the circle tightens, you begin to realize that no circle closes without consequence. The end cannot touch the beginning without tearing the fabric between them. Your reflection in the mirror is proof of this spiral. You see the familiar face you once thought was gone, but you also sense something beyond familiarity rising beneath the surface. It is not only that you are returning to youth, it is that you are approaching a threshold no one has dared to cross. The threshold where the first breath of life and the last breath of time collide in silence. And it is here, on the edge of that threshold, that the questions burn brightest. If the end meets the beginning, will you vanish into nothing, or will you step into a realm where time holds no power at all? Will your body dissolve into the memory of dust, or will it awaken into a form untouched by decay, untouched by years, untouched even by the circle itself? The pull grows stronger with each reversal. You cannot escape it, you cannot deny it. You can only follow where it leads, deeper into the spiral, closer to the place where history folds upon itself. And when that final fold is complete, what will remain of you when the circle finally closes?
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.